Alright, here we are. I'm going to start another project. Not quite done with the original wool blanket super coat seen here. Just took it off. I've been wearing it around. I worked camping, do an indoor camp out once, and it worked great. I got some little adjustments and improvements I want to make to it. But first, I decided I wanted to make a shorter under tunic that I am going to base off the pattern and style of my gi top here. Went to a thrift store and found 9 fresh new old wool blankets, including this gray one that is almost identical in color to the blanket that I made the coat out of. So I'm going to use scraps of that to make some ties and an obi style belt and maybe do some edging. But before I can do that, I wanted to use the bulk of it to make a kind of like a Jedi style tabard to go with this tunic. So that's what I'm going to be working on next. So I traced out my gi jacket, put some pins along the edges just so it wouldn't shift when I cut things out. Put a couple of safety pins to where I need to cut the neck, as well as where the center is, because I'm going to put a cut up the center so it opens like a jacket. Also pinned, based on my gi, where the slits go, because I want to leave slits along these edges, just so despite it winding up being hopefully right around knee length, there won't be any impediment to leg movement and, being able to kick people in the head, because that's important. Next up, I think I'm going to cut the neck area. I'm deciding whether or not to make a little V-notch or just keep it a straight T-cut from safety pin to safety pin and then straight down the middle. I guess I'll start there and see how it looks. And I got to add some little paracord cinches to the wrists like I did on the super coat. And then I can start sewing up the seams. And then I've got all this lovely scrap fabric that I can use to add length in various areas as needed, make some little gi-style tie closures, maybe some pockets, things of that nature. Alright, it is mostly stitched together, at least along the seams. I did something funky with the cuffs that I'll demonstrate momentarily. I need to add some triangular bits to get the crossover kind of effect of a gi top. And I gotta do some edging along the opening and the collar. I'm gonna throw a hood on there. A couple other things. Alright, here it is so far. So I need to add the triangular bit so that it closes properly. And I've got the slits on the side so I can still kick people in the face. That's important. Much like the super coat, made the sleeves extra long to keep my hands warm. Put some paracord cinches on here so I can cinch it down and slide it up a bit. The sleeves are quite a bit more snug than they are in the super coat, which is by design. I'm going to have to do one of those gores or gussets or whatever the heck they're called in the armpit here because it's not sitting quite right. One little change I made to the sleeves, not that you can really tell, but I took a bunch of extra fabric since I needed to make it longer anyway, and I folded it over inside. So when I've got my hand tucked in here, I've kind of got like a built-in glove just to keep my hands a little extra warm when I'm out camping and such. So anyway, yeah, I gotta fix the armpits, gotta make the overlap function, get some edging on here, some ties, and then it'll be time to move on to the tabard portion. Alright, day 2 here on the base layer tunic. I got the triangular portion sewn in for the front. I took a crack at doing some edging on the bottom. As you can see, it looks pretty terrible. Wasn't very happy with the way it turned out. Yeah, it's causing everything to roll. The stitches were too tight, and there was just too many layers of fabric. It wasn't feeding through nicely. So I'm going to rip all these out. I'm going to do a zigzag stitch on the bottom edges to finish those edges off, and then I'm going to come up with a wider piece of fabric to put along the collar and opening. So that's what I'm doing right now. Alright, so I did that zigzag stitch along the edge, so it sort of drapes a lot nicer now than it did when I had that fabric attached. Cut some strips to use as the edging for the opening and the collar area, so I got to assemble that and get that on there. I also have to figure out where to trim this, because when it's worn, I'm not quite this wide in the waist, so when it's on, you got these two little like triangular pieces sticking out from the side. Looks kind of funny, so I don't know if I'll just fold those in and tack those back, or if I'll cut them off, but I'm gonna spend a minute trying to figure out just how much to remove there. Onward. Alright, I've got the collar trim mostly prepared. I had to take shorter lengths, and I kind of butted them up to one another, did the zigzag stitch. I've got 3 rows of straight stitch here, not unlike the way a gi jacket or a karate belt is put together. So next I gotta figure out how much of the overlap I need to get rid of, and then I need to figure out how I'm attaching this thing. So I got the this collar belt thing on. Turned out a heck of a lot nicer than I thought I could have pulled off, but you know, not perfect. So getting close to done. Need to do some ties in here to keep it closed, and I was thinking about doing a hood, but I don't think that'll fit given how tight the collar is. So I think next it's on to the Jedi tabard with the obi closure bit after I get a couple of ties on here. So here it is. Got the closures on. Kind of don't look too closely at the stitching, especially on the inside. It looks kind of ugly, but they hold. Stays shut. Fits pretty nicely. I may, at this point, got a lot of extra fabric in the sleeve here because I was making that little pocket, kind of like a glove. But what I should have really done is just left the fabric on the top of the inside sleeve and not had any on the bottom, which is kind of making the sleeve unnecessarily thick. So I may go back in and rework that, but I'm almost out of thread, so I think I'm done for the day. Alright, here we are with some daylight. Main part of this shorter tunic is pretty much done. I've got the ties in here, which I think I already talked about. Right now I've just got this same ring belt that I was using for the other coat. I do need to still construct some kind of an obi and tabard thing out of this wool blanket, the extra of which I'm going to use to make some changes and adjustments to the super coat. I did go back in last night and adjust the sleeves so they're kind of more normal length. I discovered that I could roll them inward and they stay pretty good. I did cut out the excess fabric, as well as, not that you can really see this, maybe you can see where the stitching is. I just hand stitched some of the fabric on the inside. So, look, there's my hand. There's extra fabric on the inside to make kind of a pocket. So my hand sits in the pocket. See? No hand. Just kind of like a built-in glove. I thought would be a neat idea. I can use the paracord to cinch this shut a little bit tighter. Then my hand should stay pretty warm. It also makes, yeah, I'm crazy. Anyway, time to get making the tabard. Alright, tabards are cut. They are about 76 inches long, rough cut, about 11 inches wide. I've got this one pinned and ready to be sewn. So the finished width is about 9 inches. I plan on hiding a couple of pockets in here on the inner face. But I gotta check and see how this is gonna lay on the actual tunic with the seam there, if that's gonna make things weird. I've had issues with seaming before, so we'll see how that looks. Alright, tabard. This isn't quite attached yet. It is. The two halves are stitched together in the back. But I want to attach the obi to the back so it's not this big process to put it on. I might tack this to the actual tunic somehow, somewhere. I need to adjust the length and make sure those are even, and that's got a nice edge at the bottom. I'm going to hide a couple of pockets in here for throwing my cell phone or other odds and ends. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a tie off for the obi or if I'm just going to use it as a wrap. But yeah, pretty happy with it so far. Almost done. I think I'm just about out of time to work on it today though, so I'll have to finish this off at some other point. Alright, so here we are about a year later, a little less than a year actually after I made this. I made this right after I made the long coat that you saw in a previous video. Couple of slight modifications I've made since the video for this was shot. I wear this thing all the time. This is my go-to coat. I wear it indoors in the winter. It's basically my house coat. Prior to finishing my most recent coat, this is what I would wear. I'd throw this on in the morning, drive the kids to school, come back, stay in this all day long. I wear it hiking, I wear it camping. Although this is probably going to get a little bit less use now that I've got the new coat that I finished, because I really love that one. And it's got a lot of features and functions geared more towards the hiking and the camping and everyday use. But just to give some little updates about what I've done here. Kind of see the stitching on the outside, but I added a little phone pocket. Again, kind of comes down at an angle, so I drop the phone in there. Stays in there just fine when I'm moving around. I also added on the inside flap here, just a kangaroo hoodie pocket. See, goes all the way through. I kind of like the way that turned out, although it's I usually wear this if I'm going out. I wear my leather ring belt with it, but I positioned the openings for the pockets a little too high, so it's a little, you kind of hike the belt up a little bit to get the hands in those pockets. Not great, but it is what it is. Sleeves I pretty much leave rolled at this length, which is good and bad. It's nice, I put my hands down, keeps my fingers covered if I'm, again, out hiking. Keeps the fingers warm even if I don't have gloves on. But they do get in the way a lot. When I make my eggs in the morning, I've noticed that I tend to drag my sleeve through the pan and get the sleeve covered in eggs, which is, fun. I did cut back some of the excess fabric for the pocket. Get this mitten pocket feature that I developed. It used to be just an entire strip of fabric that went around the entire sleeve, but that added a lot of extra unnecessary bulk, so I trimmed that back some. Didn't do the prettiest job on it, but it's on the inside of the sleeve, so who cares. I replaced the paracord cinches with some shock cords and cord locks. That works better than the paracord did. But still, you can see how much I gotta cinch it down to get that fabric to bunch up enough to stay out of the way. But you know, it works. Overall, I really like the way this, whoops, that wasn't supposed to come all the way off. I really like the way this coat turned out. I like the simple style. I am a martial artist, so, you know, wearing my gi look-alike jacket around outside is it's a little geeky kind of cool thing for me. I do get plenty of strange looks, but I don't care. So yeah, this is the gi coat, I guess, or tunic, or I had been calling it a tunic, but it's more of a gi jacket than a tunic. Yeah, so that's all for this one. Since making this one, a couple of other projects I did work on. I worked on a cape cloak coat thing for my youngest son, which I don't know if he'll let me film him in that. I've got a couple of pictures which I may or may not put up. That was kind of fun. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Learned a few tips and tricks doing that helped me on the coat that I just finished up this past weekend. So, as I said before, I am an artist. This isn't what I do all the time or full time. This is just kind of a side hobby. I know my skills aren't like professional or great or anything like that. It's just something I've taken to doing for fun. So if you like what you saw and you want to subscribe to my channel, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm trying to get my subscriber count up so that I can give my channel a custom URL, which should make it easier for me to promote myself as an artist. And please check out some of the other videos on there, whether it's wool coat related or art related or what have you. Thanks for watching.